If someone were to ask me to define dog training, I would say that it is to give your dog the confidence to do what they think they can't. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle. I'm the owner of 2 Fanny Corsos and I love training dogs. And on today's video, I wanted to share with you guys the top must-haves for anybody that's looking to train their dog. Before we get this video started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and write down any video suggestions if you have them in the comment section below. Alright, so the first item that I would recommend for anybody that's looking to train their dog is a place cot. A place cot is a great way to introduce your dog to a very simple and useful command. For me, I like to use this especially for my Peachy girl, which is the smaller Corso. She needs some help with her stability. She's a very impulsive dog and she has a type of personality that if she wants something, she's gonna get it. So here you're going to see me use the place cot to teach her to hang out for a second while I hang out with Dante. Both of my dogs absolutely love training with me, and as the video goes on, I'll explain how the place cot is actually very useful when I'm training both of them. The second item I'd recommend for dog owners to get is some kind of fanny pack or a treat pouch. I've even seen some treat pouches that have an opening on the top already, so you don't have to zip it open or shut. You want to include some kind of reward in your training, and treats are a great way to do this. They will help you increase your engagement with your dog as well as mark wanted behavior. I would say that timing is one of the hardest things to do when training your dog, because you want to make sure that you are rewarding your dog and marking the behavior that you want as soon as possible. So having the fanny pack there with all the treats ready is going to really help you in making sure that your timing is accurate. And as a quick little side note, I wanted to point out that my dogs are master negotiators. So if you noticed before, Dante was being very cute trying to lick my face so that he didn't have to go on the place cot, because he wants to go do something else, he wants to go play. So it was very important for me to follow through, and here I rewarded him. I gave him his break, but yeah, I just wanted to show that. Alright, so going back to the place cot situation and why it's so useful for me here. So both of my dogs are very eager to train with me, and sometimes I want to focus on something specific with one dog. So the other dog usually becomes a very, very large distraction. Let's say if I'm working with Peach and I want to teach her like a new command, Dante will try to come here and then I can't give Peach my undivided attention. So what I'm doing here is I'm teaching my dogs to use that eagerness and put it on a different command. The place cot is not a timeout. It is me telling them, hey, I want you to do this job while I am doing something else. The third item that I'd recommend for dog owners to get is a long leash. This is a great way for you to practice recall with your dog, especially as a puppy, with giving them the illusion of freedom without compromising their safety. For example, if you don't have a backyard that you can safely practice recall with them and you need to go to a park, you can use a long leash in this situation, especially if there are a lot of distractions. It's very, very useful. All of the items that I'm mentioning are going to be useful for your dog's entire life. It's not just reserved to when they are puppies. So from time to time, I will take out the long leash if I want to reinforce either of their recall. And it's something that you have to always keep in mind, that training doesn't stop and that training shouldn't be reserved to just one specific time. It should be all the time and throughout the entirety of your dog's life. So all of these things are going to help you reinforce the behavior that you want your dog to have. They're going to teach your dog consistency. The next item that I would recommend for dog owners to get is a slip lead. The slip lead has been very useful for me in teaching my dogs how to heel on walks, as well as shaping behaviors that I want or movements that I want from my dog. So for example, when I was teaching Dante the command through, the slip lead was very useful in helping me guide his head in the direction that I wanted him to be in. So as opposed to a leash, the slip lead gives you better control of your dog's head. The slip lead can also be used to give your dog a correction, similarly to how the prong collar would work. I've actually started to introduce both of my dogs to a new command, which would be a focused heel. So you'll see me having my hand up much higher than I usually would, just because I'm trying to shape Dante's head to be looking up at me, as opposed to walking just with his head looking forward like a regular heel would be. So that's what I'm doing here. And you will also see that this is where the slip lead can also come in handy, because it just helps me give him a little nudge as to where I want him to be positioning his head. Now for this session that I had with my dogs, I only did this for a little bit with Dante because I was also having Peach stay in place while I was doing this with him. So it was very hard for me to focus on both teaching Dante something new and keeping Peach in the position that she needed to be in. So I just later on just let Dante be on break while he was walking around with me and focus on really making sure that Peach was understanding what I wanted from her. The next item that I would recommend for dog owners to get is an e-collar. Personally, I believe in a balanced form of dog training, and I believe that it is just as important to teach your dog the things that you do not want them to do and to clearly communicate that with them. Now, the use of an e-collar can be very nuanced, and it might not be for every single dog. So take this recommendation with a grain of salt. Make sure that you do all your research, and make sure that if you do decide to get an e-collar, to find a trainer that is very well versed and experienced with it so that they can guide you on how to properly use it. I think that a lot of the stigma that comes from using training tools comes from those cases in which you've heard people that have abused their dogs with these tools. And I think that this does a huge disservice to all other types of balanced dog trainers, because this is not the case. And your dog should never be afraid of any kind of tool that you're using. If your dog is afraid, then you're not introducing it appropriately. I've used the e-collar on both Dante and Peach, and as you can see, they are extremely happy to work. They don't think of it as something bad. And I just want that to be very clear for anybody that is watching. Now, there are things that I don't agree with in the use of the e-collar, as well as things that I do agree with. So for me personally, I would not use an e-collar to introduce any kind of new command. I don't think it's fair to the dog. If your dog doesn't know what it's being corrected for, how are you effectively communicating with them? My views about this haven't always been this way, so I just want to drive the point that you have to make sure that you are really finding what works for your dog, that you are really looking into all kinds of training styles and what works for you and what you think is going to benefit your dog. And that's what I'm trying to do with both Dante and Peach. I've grown a lot from owning both of them. As their owner, I want what's best for them, and that means that I will always be willing to keep an open mind, to learn as much as I can from different people, and to change anything that I'm currently doing if that means that will improve my relationship with them. Next item that I would recommend for dog owners would be a clicker. Now, the clicker is great for you to mark wanted behavior, and I have used it with Peach especially. I just feel like she responds very well to it. Dante responds very well to verbal affection, so for him, verbal praise is enough. But I feel like sometimes Peach just is like all over the place, to be honest. And when she hears the clicker, she's like, whoa, what is that? So for me and for Peach, the clicker has been very helpful. The next item that is very important for training your dog would be the type of treat that you get. You have to make sure that your dog wants this treat. And remember that when you're giving your dog a treat for a behavior, that it is just a little tiny piece. You shouldn't be feeding your dog treats, and it shouldn't be something that you are reliant on in order for your dog to obey. It's something that will help you in those initial stages when you're teaching them something new, but it's not something that you should be heavily reliant on. I'll make sure to leave a couple of treat suggestions in the description box, but for Dante and Peach, they love anything that is really smelly. So dried up little fish treats they love, and as well as like dried up liver. The last item that I would recommend for your dog that has been very helpful for me is to get some kind of tactical harness with a patch that says "in training." This will be very helpful for you when you are training your dog in a place with high distractions like a store. If people see that your dog has an actual sign saying that they're training, They are usually way more respectful about going up and approaching. So those will be all of the items that I'm going to be listing on this video today. If there's anything that you think I may have missed that really helped you and your dog, please go ahead and comment it down below. I'll be leaving a link in the description for all of the items that I mentioned as well, so that you guys can go ahead and check it out if that is something that you want. So yeah, that's going to conclude this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and that you guys found it helpful. Don't forget to check out the courses over at Fenrir that are very good and very instructive for anybody that's looking to improve their relationship with their dog. Make sure to check that out, as well as our merch that is also in the description below. Bye!